Hi, I'm Jenn, the Holistic Health Boss, your functional diagnostic health practitioner and expert. And today we are going to be talking about how estrogen is a huge factor for weight gain, sleepless nights, and PMS, even in men. Now, estrogen is a sneaky little hormone that often goes overlooked in typical blood tests and can be related to issues such as weight gain, sleepless nights, sugar cravings, low energy, depression, and insulin resistance in both men and women, and irregular periods or intense PMS symptoms just for the ladies. Now, it has snuck up on me a few times over the years. So now that I'm onto its little estrogen tricks, I'm giving you the inside info to make sure estrogen isn't getting in the way of you feeling like your best self. Now, unexplained weight gain, acne, low libido, restless sleep, hot flashes, and struggling to build muscle are just some of the common characteristics that can be seen when estrogen is dominating your body. And estrogen doesn't discriminate, like I said. It's just as much of an issue these days with both men and women. I see it all the time in clients that are coming through my virtual practice door. My husband is actually a perfect case in point. For the majority of his adult life, he was able to manage his weight with the simple calories in versus calories out equation. When the scale started to tip though, he simply cut back on his food intake and exercised more, just like most of us do, right? Well, that was until estrogen took control. The older he got, the harder it became to manage his weight through diet and exercise. And one day it just stopped working altogether. Not only was he not able to lose weight, but one day he stepped on the scale and it actually gained weight despite his efforts to work out harder and monitor his food intake. Now, for an engineer and scientific-minded guy, this scenario was mind-boggling. He applied the equation of calories in versus calories out, and it did not produce the outcome that it was supposed to. Have you felt this too maybe before? There's a million things I could say about the broken calories in versus calories out equation, and if you head over to my website, you can read a blog that I wrote about it there. But let's stay focused on estrogen for right now. Now, there was obviously something more at play, keeping my husband from managing his weight. So we ran the right type of hormone test to collect some clues, and here is what we found. Clue number one was that there was a possible genetic predisposition. A few years ago, his mom had been diagnosed with the estrogen-driven type of breast cancer called ER2. About 80% of all breast cancers are ER positive, meaning the cancer cells grow in response to estrogen. Now, primary clue number two was that we did a dried urine test for comprehensive hormones called a Dutch test, and it revealed that the estrogen metabolites, estrone and estradiol, were very high outside of the functional range, and testosterone was within range. These values cannot be seen really on a blood test, so they had been routinely missed. My husband had a classic case of underlying estrogen dominance that was keeping him from losing weight. So, what is estrogen dominance, you might be wondering? Well, in men, it's usually determined when estrogen levels are relatively high in comparison to testosterone, meaning that testosterone levels could actually be normal or low, and estrogen is relatively high to whatever that testosterone number is. Now, in women, it's commonly evaluated based upon the ratio of estrogen to progesterone. But as with men, it can also be evaluated when comparing testosterone to estrogen in women as well. In general, when estrogen levels are relatively high to hormones, it's not a good scenario. Now, I too fell victim to estrogen dominance back in the day. My weight climbed by 15 pounds. I broke out with acne for the first time in my life as an adult. I had painful and heavy periods, didn't sleep great, and couldn't keep my emotions under wraps, all because estrogen had taken over. And I'm pretty certain that estrogen was one of the tipping factors towards my Hashimoto's, an autoimmune thyroid condition. So that's why in this video, I want to dive more into detail about what drives estrogen up and what actions you can take in order to get it back under control, or maybe to keep it there if it hasn't gotten to that level yet. So we're going to assess this in a couple of different ways. The good news is that estrogen dominance doesn't happen overnight. It's preventable and reversible in basically most cases. But if estrogen gets out of control, it can lead to more health issues beyond stubborn weight, acne, and pain in the ass periods. Estrogen dominance can also contribute to hormone-driven cancers, such as the ER2 breast cancer that we just talked about, autoimmune conditions such as Hashimoto's, and also yeast and bacterial overgrowth such as Candida. So how can you keep estrogen within its normal playing field so that it doesn't dominate you? Making sure estrogen doesn't start dominating the field means tackling it from a couple of different angles, as I was just alluding to. Now, angle number one is to sort out estrogen sources. One of the biggest reasons why estrogen is on the rise is due to a classification of toxins known as xenoestrogens. These toxins have the ability to mimic estrogen in the body or block hormone receptor sites, resulting in elevated estrogen levels. Common sources of estrogen promoting toxins can be found in plastic, food, water, or other types of storage containers, lotions, shampoos, conditioners, deodorant, and other personal care products, and metal substances such as cadmium, lead, and mercury. So what you want to aim to do is swap out your plastic containers for glass or steel and use the Environmental Working Group's Skin Deep database to find non-toxic personal care products and avoid metals as much as possible. Other estrogen elevating sources also include non-organic foods containing pesticides or added hormones. Tap water, yes, even though it's deemed safe, can be contaminated with pesticides and toxins. Intestinal parasites, bacteria, and yeast that elevate toxic enzyme levels and trap estrogen. Excess body fat that absorbs, stores, and synthesizes estrogen. And synthetic hormones found in hormone replacement therapies or birth control, along with water damage buildings with mold growth and unrelenting mental or emotional stress. Now, some actions that you can take right now to tackle these sources are eating organic, drinking and cooking with only filtered water, properly addressing water leaks and mold, and taking time to meditate or de-stress on a daily basis. To sort out the synthetic hormones and or intestinal pathogens, seek out a functional health practitioner like myself to assist you with proper and personalized strategies. Now, angle number two is to love your liver. The reality is we can't control our exposures to all estrogen driving toxins 100% of the time, but our liver does play a major role in getting rid of excess estrogen that might be circulating in the body, and that's something that you can get behind. By supporting liver function, you can basically kill two birds with one stone. You can eliminate toxins you've been exposed to that might raise estrogen levels, and you can get rid of excess estrogen all at the same time. To support your liver, here's a couple things that you can do. One is take a daily liver support supplement with a nutrient such as milk thistle in it. Two is to eat naturally detoxifying foods such as beets, grapefruits, lemons, and dandelion greens. And three, some of my favorites are to regularly use a Queen of the Thrones castor oil pack, do dry body brushing, and sit in an infrared sauna. If you do all of the above, you will just be giving your liver more power to do its job. Now, angle number three is to eat and drink an anti-estrogenic diet. The great news is you can combat estrogen on a daily basis with little effort. Simply aim to eat anti-estrogenic foods known as cruciferous vegetables and drink clean filtered water, remember from a glass or steel bottle, of course. Some of the best estrogen regulating foods to consume include things like broccoli, cauliflower, kale, Brussels sprouts, arugula, cabbage, bok choy, radishes, and even collard greens. So see where you can throw these in your weekly routine. By taking action from all three angles, estrogen will be neutralized and it will play nicely with the rest of your hormones. However, in some cases, even if you're adamantly working to lower estrogen levels, there still might be something stopping you from getting where you want to be. So in those cases, my husband again is another perfect example of this. Even after months of taking action to reduce estrogen, his levels only moderately decreased. It certainly wasn't for a lack of effort, but the genetic predisposition definitely became more clear. So remember, clue number one in his story was about his mother's history of estrogen-driven breast cancer. So we were able to correlate his family history with his repeated test results to see from this genetic standpoint. His body actually needed more support than most people in order to keep estrogen under control. Now today I'm happy to report that with the proper diet and lifestyle choices, my husband has lost over 30 pounds. He easily maintains his weight while taking more days off from exercising than ever before, and he is proactively preventing a future battle with estrogen-driven cancer. I have also fully restored balance to my estrogen levels after dealing with mold and a long history of birth control use to feel like myself again. And over the years, I've helped many clients do exactly the same. So if you suspect that estrogen is an issue with you and you want to get your hands on the right lab tests and resources to get it under control so you can feel like yourself again, then please click on the links below or reach out to me in a message to schedule a complimentary Ideal Health and Weight Discovery session today. I hope you found this incredibly insightful. I'll see you in the next video.